The Force binds all things across the galaxy, connecting every living being in an invisible web of light and darkness. But what happens when something falls through the cracks? Something that doesn't belong, something the Force cannot touch. On the day the Jedi Order died, the galaxy gained a new hunter, one who needed no mystical energy to strike fear into the hearts of the wicked. Bruce Wayne's last memory of his own world was the Batmobile screaming through Gotham's streets, chasing the Joker through a thunderstorm. Then came the light, blinding, impossible, tearing reality apart like wet paper. The dimensional rift swallowed him whole, pulling him through a kaleidoscope of collapsing universes until he slammed into Durasteel plating with bone-jarring force. He woke to screams. Coruscant's underlevels burned around him. The Batsuit's systems flickered to life, HUD displaying atmospheric analysis, structural damage assessment, and one critical alert: location unknown. Bruce forced himself upright, cape settling around his armored shoulders as he surveyed the chaos. Massive towers stretched endlessly upward, disappearing into a polluted sky. Speeders crashed in the distance, and everywhere, there were bodies. Robed figures lay sprawled across Durasteel walkways, their chests smoking with blaster burns. Clone troopers in white armor marched in formation, executing anyone who wore the brown and tan robes. Bruce's detective instincts cataloged everything: the military precision of the killings, the religious garb of the victims, the coordinated nature of the massacre. This wasn't random violence. This was systematic extermination. "Execute Order 66, a clone commander's voice crackled through a nearby comm unit. Bruce moved through the shadows, keeping to the elevated walkways where smoke provided cover. His grapnel launcher worked perfectly. The same physics, the same mechanics. Whatever universe he'd fallen into, the fundamental laws still applied. He watched a young woman in robes attempt to deflect blaster fire with a glowing blade of pure energy. She managed 3 shots before a dozen more cut her down. Lightsaber, his mind cataloged. Energy weapon. Plasma contained by magnetic field. Technology beyond anything on Earth. A clone trooper spotted him. "Unknown hostile! Open!" Batman's fist crushed the soldier's vocabulator before he could finish. The trooper crumpled, unconscious. Bruce dragged him into an alcove and accessed the helmet's internal systems. The design was elegant. Integrated communications, heads-up display, environmental controls. He bypassed the security protocols in 40 seconds and downloaded the armor's recent mission logs. The data painted a horrifying picture. Thousands of soldiers, all receiving the same command simultaneously. A galactic-wide order to murder their generals. The Jedi were peacekeepers, warrior monks who served a republic that spanned countless worlds. And today, that republic had betrayed them all. Bruce Wayne had seen corruption before. He'd watched Gotham's systems fail its people time and again. But this was extinction-level treachery. Movement caught his eye. A flash of red and black vanishing into a maintenance corridor. Not a clone, not a Jedi, something else. The figure moved with predatory grace, horns protruding from a tattooed skull. Yellow eyes gleaming in the firelight. Bruce's instincts screamed danger as the creature paused, looking back directly at him despite the shadows concealing his position. Then it smiled, revealing sharp teeth, and disappeared into the chaos. Batman followed. Whatever that thing was, it wasn't running from the massacre. It was hunting in it. And if there was one absolute truth Bruce Wayne had learned in his years as the Dark Knight, it was this: monsters left trails. You just had to know how to read them. The underlevels of Coruscant became his hunting ground. He moved like smoke through the panic, tracking the horned figure through 3 districts before losing the trail near a spaceport. But Batman didn't believe in coincidences. That creature had looked at him, acknowledged him. That meant intelligence. That meant motive. And that meant Bruce could find it. As Order 66 burned the galaxy around him, the Dark Knight descended into the criminal underworld of an alien civilization, carrying one certainty with him: he would understand this new universe. He would master its rules, and he would hunt. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The slums of Coruscant's level 1313 stank of ozone and desperation. Bruce had spent 72 hours in this labyrinth of corroded metal and flickering neon, and he'd learned more about this galaxy than most of its inhabitants knew. The key was understanding that criminals were the same everywhere, greedy, talkative, and predictable. He'd interrogated a Rhodian spice dealer, intimidated a Twi'lek information broker, and carefully extracted intelligence from a wounded clone deserter who'd resisted Order 66. The picture assembled itself like a crime scene reconstruction. The Jedi served the Galactic Republic as peacekeepers and generals in a war against separatist droids. They wielded the Force, an energy field that connected all living things, and used it to perform impossible feats. Telekinesis, precognition, mind manipulation, magic. Essentially, or close enough. The clones had been programmed with inhibitor chips that forced compliance with Order 66. The Jedi never saw the betrayal coming. Now the Republic was transforming into an empire under Chancellor Palpatine, and Force sensitives were being hunted to extinction by elite warriors called Inquisitors. Bruce sat in the darkness of an abandoned warehouse, the Batsuit's computer processing stolen Republic data files. His cowl's lenses flickered with holographic projections. Thousands of after-action reports, surveillance footage, intelligence dossiers. He was looking for one specific monster. There. Frame 2847 of a security recording from Mandalore. A figure with black and red tattoos, horned head, double-bladed lightsaber cutting through Mandalorian warriors with supernatural speed. Cross-referenced with Jedi archives, stolen from a dying Jedi Knight who'd begged Batman to preserve the Order's knowledge. Darth Maul, former Sith apprentice, presumed dead for over a decade, resurrected through dark rituals and sustained by hatred, leader of the Crimson Dawn crime syndicate. Perfect. Bruce Wayne knew organized crime. He'd dismantled the Falcone family, crippled the Court of Owls, gone toe-to-toe with Ra's al Ghul's League of Assassins. A galactic crime lord with supernatural powers was just another target. Bigger scale, higher stakes, same fundamental weaknesses: arrogance, territoriality, and the assumption that power meant invincibility. He'd found his prey. Now he needed to understand it. The Force was the primary concern. Every recording of Darth Maul showed impossible physical feats, leaping 30 feet vertically, deflecting blaster bolts, moving faster than human reflexes should allow. Telekinetic throws, force chokes, and the lightsabers themselves, weapons that could cut through nearly anything. Batman had no force sensitivity. The clone deserter had tested him with some kind of meditation technique. Nothing. Bruce Wayne was invisible to this galaxy's mystical energy field, which meant he had no supernatural defense against force attacks. Good. Being underestimated was an advantage. Let the Force users assume anyone without their power was helpless. Bruce had built a career on proving that assumption fatal. He spent the next week studying every Sith encounter documented in Republic files. Patterns emerged. Force users relied heavily on their powers, often neglecting mundane threats. They could sense danger through the Force, but struggled with threats they couldn't predict. Technological surprises, environmental hazards, psychological warfare. The Force granted precognition, but only if the user was calm and focused. Rage clouded that ability, and Darth Maul was driven by rage. The crime syndicate gave Bruce his opening. Crimson Dawn operated through fear and brutality, controlling spice trafficking routes across the Outer Rim. Maul ruled from the shadows, using intermediaries and enforcers. But every organization had weak points, every leader had patterns. Bruce infiltrated a Crimson Dawn warehouse on level 1127, moving through ventilation shafts too small for most species. The Batsuit's armor plating compressed slightly, an upgrade he'd designed years ago for Gotham's tighter spaces. Below him, Pike Syndicate members unloaded crates of refined spice while a Dathomirian Zabrak enforcer supervised, not Maul. But close enough. Batman dropped silently behind the enforcer, his armored hand clamping over the alien's mouth before a single sound escaped. Pressure points were universal. Bruce found the nerve cluster below the Zabrak's jaw and applied precise force. Unconscious in 4 seconds. The Pikes noticed 30 seconds too late. Batman moved through them like a shadow given form. disarming blasters with targeted batarangs, dislocating joints with surgical strikes, exploiting every tactical advantage. No force powers, just skill, speed, and violence of action. The last Pike standing raised his blaster with trembling hands. "You're not Jedi. What are you?" Batman stepped into the light, cape spreading like wings. White eyes of his cowl blazing in the dimness. "Where is Darth Maul?" "I don't..." Wrong answer. 20 minutes later, Batman had coordinates. Zanbar, Maul's fortress in the Outer Rim. And something else. Reports of Maul visiting a separatist listening post on Ord Mantell 3 days ago. Active movement. Patterns. Bruce uploaded the interrogation data to his cowl's database and vanished into Coruscant's shadows, leaving the criminals tied up for Republic. No, Imperial forces to find. A calling card of sorts. Evidence that something new hunted in the darkness. Something that didn't need the Force to be dangerous. Ord Mantell's moon was a desolate rock of gray stone and frozen methane seas. The abandoned separatist listening post clung to a crater's edge, its communications array rusted and silent. Perfect location for a clandestine meeting. Perfect location for an ambush. Batman had tracked Crimson Dawn's shipping manifests through 3 star systems, cross-referencing every encrypted transmission he could intercept. The pattern was clear. Maul was consolidating power, absorbing smaller syndicates while the galaxy's attention focused on the Empire's formation. And tonight, according to intercepted intelligence, he would personally meet with Black Sun representatives to negotiate territory. Bruce crouched on an outcropping 200 meters from the facility, the batsuit's thermal imaging revealing 12 heat signatures inside. 11 humanoid. One stronger, burning hotter. Either heavy cybernetics or something else. His cowl's analysis systems cataloged defensive positions, entry points, potential escape routes. He'd spent 6 days preparing for this moment, studying every recorded Maul encounter, analyzing Sith fighting techniques, understanding the enemy. The meeting broke up at 0347 hours. Black Sun representatives filed out to their shuttle, leaving one figure behind. Batman's pulse remained steady as the heat signature moved through the facility toward a side entrance. Alone. Now. Batman descended in absolute silence, grapnel line retracting smoothly. He bypassed the door's security with a universal encryption cracker. Republic technology, stolen and modified. Inside, the facility was dark except for emergency lighting. His boots made no sound on the Durasteel floor. He found Maul in the central communications chamber, standing motionless before a holographic star map. The Zabrak's back was turned, horned head tilted slightly, double-bladed lightsaber hilt attached to his belt. Cybernetic legs gleamed dully in the blue light. Half machine, a warrior rebuilt from death itself. Batman armed 3 smoke pellets and prepared an electrical discharge batarang. First rule of engagement: control the environment. You're surprisingly loud for someone who thinks he's hiding. Maul's voice was a growl, accented and dangerous. He didn't turn around. Bruce's tactical analysis shifted instantly. Maul had sensed him. The Force. Despite the smoke still in Batman's hand, despite perfect silence, somehow the Sith had known. The Force whispers many things, Maul continued, slowly turning. Yellow eyes fixed on Batman with predatory interest. But you are silent. No presence, no connection, an absence where something should be. His lips curled into a cruel smile. Fascinating. Batman threw the smoke pellets. White fog erupted through the chamber as the batsuit's lenses switched to thermal imaging. He moved left, drawing Maul's attention while positioning for... Crimson light exploded through the smoke. Both blades of Maul's lightsaber ignited simultaneously, their glow painting the fog red. The Sith moved faster than any human should, crossing 15 feet in a single leap, blades spinning in a defensive pattern that cut through smoke and shadow. Batman rolled beneath the strike, titanium gauntlet deflecting the lightsaber's edge at the last possible instant. The plasma blade skidded across the armor's surface, melting a thin groove but not penetrating. Bruce felt the heat through his suit's insulation. Good. The armor worked. For now. He fired the grapnel point blank at Maul's legs. The Zabrak spun, lightsaber intercepting the cable mid-flight, severing it instantly. Then Maul thrust his free hand forward, and invisible force slammed into Batman like a freight train. The impact threw him across the chamber. Bruce crashed through a computer terminal, the Batsuit's armor absorbing most of the damage, but his ribs screamed protest. He rolled to his feet, analyzing frantically. Telekinetic attack. No physical defense. Needed distance or cover. Maul advanced through the smoke, lightsaber humming. You fight well for someone without the Force, but skill alone cannot overcome power. He raised his hand again. Batman fired an explosive batarang at the ceiling. The detonation brought down a support beam directly above Maul, who casually sliced through it with both blades. But the momentary distraction gave Bruce the opening he needed. He threw 3 flashbangs in rapid succession. The grenades detonated in brilliant white light and deafening sound. Maul snarled, momentarily blinded, and Batman pressed the advantage. He fired titanium nets from his gauntlets, tangling the Sith's weapon arm, followed immediately by cryocapsules that exploded on impact, flash freezing Maul's cybernetic legs. For exactly 2 seconds, Batman had the upper hand. Then the Force erupted from Maul like a shockwave. The nets tore apart, the ice shattered, and the Sith Lord's rage became a tangible force that rattled the entire facility. Enough! Maul's telekinetic blast caught Batman mid-dodge, slamming him into the wall so hard his vision blurred. The Zabrak closed the distance in a heartbeat, lightsaber raised for a killing strike. Bruce triggered his cape's microfilaments. The reinforced material wrapped around Maul's blade, the heat-resistant weave buying precious seconds. Batman kicked off the wall, using his weight and momentum to wrench the lightsaber aside, then drove an armor-piercing pile into Maul's ribs. The Zabrak grunted, more surprised than hurt, and backhanded Batman across the face. The blow rattled his cowl's internal systems. Warning lights flashed across his HUD. They separated, circling each other. Maul's expression had shifted from amusement to genuine interest. You injured me. Without the Force. Impossible! Everything's impossible, Batman growled, until someone does it. Maul laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. I have killed Jedi Masters. I have survived death itself. You are skilled, warrior, but you cannot win this fight. He was right. Batman's tactical analysis confirmed it. Maul was faster, stronger, armed with superior weapons, and possessed supernatural abilities Bruce couldn't counter directly. Every advantage belonged to the Sith Lord. Continuing this fight would result in death. So Batman did what he always did when outmatched. He adapted. I don't need to win today. Bruce threw a final smoke pellet and triggered his grapnel launcher, pulling himself toward the ceiling's support structure. I just need to learn. Maul's telekinetic grip caught him mid-flight, dragging him back down. But Batman fired shaped charges at the facility's primary supports, and suddenly, Maul had a choice: pursue Batman or avoid being buried under collapsing architecture. The Sith chose survival. Batman escaped through an explosion-weakened wall as the listening post collapsed behind him. His shuttle, stolen from a Crimson Dawn enforcer, launched from the crater rim, engines screaming toward the void. Inside the cockpit, Bruce Wayne reviewed every second of combat footage recorded by his cowl's systems. Heart rate, elevated but controlled. Damage assessment, 3 cracked ribs, minor burns, concussion protocols active. But he'd survived. More importantly, he'd gathered data. Maul's speed, attack patterns, reaction time, force ability limitations, all cataloged. The Zabrak relied on overwhelming offense and assumed his power made him untouchable. He enjoyed the fight, let his rage fuel his strength. Tactical weaknesses, psychological vulnerabilities. Batman could work with that. As Ord Mantell's moon shrank in the viewport, Bruce began designing new countermeasures. Insulated armor upgrades, sonic disruptors to interrupt concentration, traps designed specifically for Force users. He'd lost the battle. But the war had just begun, and Batman never lost wars. The asteroid field in the Rishi system provided perfect cover. Batman's stolen shuttle drifted among the tumbling rocks, powered down to minimal life support while Bruce worked feverishly in the cramped cargo hold. The Batsuit lay disassembled across improvised workbenches, each component carefully analyzed and upgraded. 3 weeks had passed since Ord Mantell. 3 weeks spent understanding exactly how outclassed he'd been. The lightsaber changed everything. Bruce had acquired 2 hilts from deceased Jedi. One found clutched in dead fingers on Coruscant, another bartered from a Toydarian junk dealer who'd looted a crashed Jedi starfighter. He'd spent days studying their construction, marveling at the elegant simplicity. A kyber crystal focusing energy through magnetic containment fields, generating a blade of superheated plasma that could cut through virtually any material. The crystals themselves were remarkable. They resonated with the Force, somehow attuned to their wielder's essence. Bruce's detection equipment measured quantum fluctuations around the crystals that defied conventional physics. Without Force sensitivity, he couldn't create the resonance bond. The lightsabers would never truly be his weapons. But he didn't need them to be. Batman had always been a pragmatist. If he couldn't wield lightsabers like Jedi or Sith, he'd use them differently. He modified his gauntlets with magnetic couplers that could activate and deactivate the weapons remotely, created launcher mechanisms that could throw ignited blades like projectiles, designed collar attachments for his grapnel system that let him swing lightsabers as cutting tools rather than dueling weapons. Unconventional, unpredictable, exactly his style. The batsuit itself required more substantial modification. Maul's lightsaber had melted through the armor's surface layer in a single glancing blow. Standard titanium composite wasn't enough. Bruce needed something better. His analysis of clone trooper armor revealed an interesting material: cortosis, a rare mineral that could short-circuit lightsabers on contact. Prohibitively expensive and difficult to obtain, but not impossible. 3 days of careful negotiation with a basilisk arms dealer on Ord Mantell, the planet, not the moon, had secured enough cortosis weave to reinforce the batsuit's chestplate, gauntlets, and cowl. Not invincible, but resistant. The real problem was the Force itself. Maul's telekinetic attacks had bypassed every physical defense, throwing Batman around like a rag doll. There was no armor against that. Telekinesis worked on mass and momentum, not surface contact. But while researching Force abilities in stolen Jedi records, Bruce had found something interesting. Force users needed concentration. Break their focus, and their powers faltered. He'd designed 3 countermeasures. First, ultrasonic emitters built into his gauntlets, generating frequencies that disoriented most humanoid species. Wouldn't stop telekinesis directly, but might disrupt the concentration required. Second, flashbang variants with specific spectrum wavelengths that interfered with Zabrak visual perception, another concentration disruptor. Third, psychological warfare. The clone deserter had explained that Force precognition worked by sensing intentions through the Force. But Batman had no Force presence. He was essentially invisible to that 6th sense. That meant Maul couldn't predict his attacks the way he could predict other opponents. It was a tiny advantage, but Bruce had built entire strategies on less. He studied Maul's combat recordings obsessively, analyzing every movement like a crime scene. The Zabrak's fighting style was aggressive, relying on overwhelming offense and supernatural speed. Juyo, Form 7 of lightsaber combat, according to Jedi records. The most vicious and demanding form, requiring users to channel their rage and passion. Emotional, exploitable. Bruce cross-referenced every documented Maul encounter, constructing a psychological profile, abandoned by his master, Darth Sidious. Left for dead on Naboo, rebuilt through hatred and dark magic. Created the Shadow Collective criminal empire, only to have it destroyed. Spent years consumed by revenge against Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Jedi who'd cut him in half. Maul was driven by rage, obsession, and a desperate need to prove his power. Classic narcissistic injury combined with trauma-induced hypervigilance. Predictable psychological patterns. The Sith Lord would view Batman's survival as an insult, a challenge to his supremacy. Good. Angry opponents made mistakes. Batman finished reassembling the upgraded Batsuit and tested its systems. Cortosis weave integrated successfully. Ultrasonic emitters functional. Modified grapnel launcher accepted lightsaber attachment points. The armor was heavier now, slightly less mobile, but far more capable of surviving another encounter with a Sith Lord. He reviewed his intelligence on Crimson Dawn's operations. Maul wasn't hiding. He was expanding, using the chaos of the Empire's formation to consolidate control over criminal networks. But his movements followed patterns. Territory disputes here, assassinations there, meetings with various syndicate leaders. Batman identified 3 potential intercept points over the next 2 weeks. But direct confrontation wasn't the answer. Ord Mantell had proven that. He needed to understand more about Maul's capabilities before risking another engagement, which meant he needed information from people who knew Sith Lords. The Jedi Order was effectively extinct, but survivors remained, hidden, hunted. Bruce had compiled a list of suspected locations from intercepted Inquisitor transmissions. Most were traps or dead ends, but one entry stood out. Reports of a hermit on Tatooine who defended moisture farmers from Tusken Raiders with impossible abilities. Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Jedi who defeated Maul. If anyone understood how to fight a Sith Lord without supernatural powers, it would be the man who'd already done it. Batman plotted a course to Tatooine, the Navi computer displaying a 3-day journey through hyperspace. He engaged the hyperdrive, and the asteroid field stretched into star lines as the stolen shuttle jumped to lightspeed. As the vessel hurtled through hyperspace, Bruce reviewed his tactical notes one final time. The upgraded armor, the modified weapons, the psychological analysis, all pieces of a larger strategy. Maul was powerful, but power created predictable behaviors, and predictable behaviors could be exploited. Batman had hunted gods in Gotham. He'd fought enemies with superhuman abilities, mystical powers, technological superiority. Every time, people told him he couldn't win, that he was just a man in a suit. Every time, he proved them wrong. The Force might be beyond his understanding. Lightsabers might defy Earth's physics. The scale of this galaxy might dwarf anything he'd encountered. But hunting monsters? Understanding evil? Preparing for the impossible? That was what Batman did best. The shuttle's navigation system beeped. 3 minutes until Tatooine system entry. Bruce Wayne secured the Batsuit and checked his equipment one final time. Every batarang accounted for. Every gadget tested. Every contingency planned. He was ready to learn, and then he would hunt. Tatooine's twin suns beat down mercilessly on the Dune Sea, heat shimmering off endless sand. Batman moved through the Jundland wastes like a wraith, the Batsuit's environmental controls working overtime to manage the temperature. His cowl's sensors tracked a single dwelling carved into the rocky canyon walls, humble, isolated, exactly where a Jedi Master would hide. Obi-Wan Kenobi sensed him before he knocked. The door opened to reveal a bearded man in weathered robes, blue eyes sharp despite the lines of exhaustion etched into his face. "You're not an Inquisitor." A statement, not a question. "And you're not anything I've ever sensed before. I need information about Darth Maul." Kenobi's expression hardened. "Come inside. Quickly." The dwelling was sparse. Meditation space, basic furniture, shelves of ancient texts. Kenobi gestured to a simple chair while he remained standing, hand never straying far from the lightsaber concealed beneath his robes. Trust, but verify. Batman understood the posture perfectly. "You have no connection to the Force," Kenobi observed, studying him carefully. "Yet you hunt a Sith Lord. That's either remarkably brave or profoundly foolish." "I fought worse with less." Batman removed a holoprojector from his belt, displaying combat footage from Ord Mantell. "I need to understand his capabilities, his weaknesses." Kenobi watched the recording in silence, his face growing darker with each passing second. When Maul's lightsaber carved through the smoke, the Jedi Master winced almost imperceptibly. "I cut him in half on Naboo 14 years ago, watched him fall down a reactor shaft. I should have known hatred alone would keep him alive." "You defeated him without Force powers?" "No." Kenobi's smile was bitter. "I defeated him because he underestimated me. Maul is powerful, but he's governed by rage. Emotion makes him strong, but also predictable." He paused, examining Batman's cortosis-reinforced armor. "You're preparing to fight him again." "I'm preparing to win." "Then you need to understand what drives him." Kenobi settled into a chair, looking suddenly older. Maul was taken from his homeworld as a child, trained as a weapon by the most dangerous Sith in the galaxy. He knows nothing but violence and the dark side. His entire identity revolves around proving his worth through combat. When I defeated him, I didn't just wound his body, I shattered his sense of self. Batman absorbed this, cross-referencing with his own psychological analysis. He rebuilt himself through hatred, focused on revenge, but now his master has discarded him permanently, built an empire without him. His entire purpose is gone. Precisely. Kenobi leaned forward, which makes him more dangerous than ever. A Sith Lord with nothing left to lose will take unthinkable risks, but that desperation is also his weakness. He'll pursue any challenge to his power obsessively. How do I counter Force abilities directly? Kenobi considered the question carefully. The Force requires focus and intent. Disrupt either, and you disrupt the power. Ysalamiri creatures naturally repel the Force, but they're nearly impossible to obtain. Cortosis disrupts lightsabers, but not telekinesis. He studied Batman's gadget-laden belt. Your technology might actually be an advantage. The Force allows us to predict intentions, but technology acts on programmed parameters without intent. Droids, automated traps, timed explosives, these are harder to predict. Batman filed this away. Remote-controlled weapons, automated countermeasures, remove the human element from the attack chain. There's something else, Kenobi added quietly. Maul isn't simply powerful. He's experienced. He's fought and killed Jedi Masters. He survived the Clone Wars. Conventional tactics won't surprise him. The Jedi Master's eyes locked onto Batman's white lenses. But you're not conventional, are you? No. Batman stood, extending a hand. Thank you for the information. Kenobi shook it firmly. May the Force be with you. Though I suspect you've done well enough without it. As Batman left the dwelling, Kenobi called after him. One more thing, Maul has a homeworld, Dathomir. If you truly want to understand him, that's where you'll find answers. But be warned, that planet's darkness runs deeper than any Sith philosophy. Batman's shuttle lifted off from the desert, leaving twin contrails across the scorching sky. Inside the cockpit, he plotted his next moves with surgical precision. Kenobi had confirmed his psychological assessment and provided crucial tactical intelligence. But direct confrontation still favored Maul overwhelmingly. He needed to shift the playing field. Attack Maul's power base first. Weaken the Sith Lord's resources. Draw him out on Batman's terms rather than his own. And there was one group in this galaxy famous for fighting Force users on equal footing. The Mandalorians. Batman set course for Concordia, a moon where rumors placed a Mandalorian weapons facility. If he wanted Beskar armor and Force-resistant technology, he'd need to earn it the Mandalorian way, through combat. Crimson Dawn's spice warehouse on Nar Shaddaa burned behind Batman as he disappeared into the smuggler's moon's neon-soaked streets. 3 facilities destroyed in 2 weeks. Maul's criminal empire was hemorrhaging credits and reputation. Bruce had learned patience, hunting Gotham's underworld. You didn't attack the head immediately. You dismantled the body first, cut supply lines, eliminate enforcers, turn allies against each other. Make the target paranoid, isolated, desperate. Make them come to you. The Mandalorian armor helped. After proving himself in single combat against a Concordia weapons master, 17 brutal minutes that left both warriors bleeding but respectful, Bruce had been permitted to purchase Beskar plates. The Mandalorian armorer had been fascinated by his request. Integrate Beskar with existing armor rather than replace it entirely. You fight like Mandalorian, she'd observed, hammer shaping the silvered metal. But you are not one of us. You walk alone. I've always walked alone. The Beskar now reinforced his batsuit's vital points. Chest plate, gauntlets, cowl. Not full coverage, but enough to turn aside lightsaber strikes and resist Force attacks. Combined with the Cortosis weave, Batman had transformed himself into something unprecedented. A non-Force sensitive specifically engineered to fight Sith Lords. His war against Crimson Dawn followed a calculated pattern. Hit supply depots, not leadership. Destroy resources, not people when possible. Leave evidence pointing to rival syndicates. Black Sun, the Pike Syndicate, Hutt Cartel. Let paranoia and ambition do the rest. The result was predictable. Maul's organization was tearing itself apart from within. Batman crouched on a rooftop overlooking the Corellian sector, monitoring encrypted communications he'd intercepted from Crimson Dawn's remaining leadership. The conversations painted a picture of escalating chaos. Shipments disappeared. Enforcers vanished. Territory was lost to competitors. And through it all, one question echoed through criminal channels. Who was the armored hunter? Some called him a Jedi survivor. Others claimed he was an Inquisitor gone rogue. A few whispered about something worse, something from beyond the galaxy that answered to no master. All of them feared him. Good. Batman's cowl flickered with an incoming transmission, a message he'd been waiting for. One of Maul's lieutenants, a Faline named Ziton Moj, had put out a bounty, 1 million credits for information leading to the Shadow's capture. The trap was set. Now Batman needed bait. He infiltrated Crimson Dawn's headquarters on Mustafar, a fortress built into volcanic rock, surrounded by lava flows and obsidian cliffs. Security was extensive but predictable. Automated turrets, patrol droids, organic sentries. Batman moved through gaps in their coverage like water finding cracks in stone. The central vault contained what he needed: financial records, supply manifests, communication logs. Everything required to completely dismantle Crimson Dawn's operation. He downloaded the data while planting trackers throughout the facility, small enough to avoid detection, powerful enough to monitor every conversation. On his way out, Batman left his calling card in Ziton Moj's private office. A batarang embedded in the Faline's desk, its wings spread like a dark promise. The explosion came 3 days later. Batman destroyed Crimson Dawn's largest refinery on Kessel, a facility responsible for 30% of the Syndicate's spice production. This time, he didn't hide his involvement. He carved a message into the Durasteel walls with a lightsaber. "Your empire ends." The recording reached Maul within hours. Bruce watched from a safe house on Ord Mantell, the planet, monitoring criminal communication channels. The Sith Lord's rage exploded across the holonet in encrypted bursts. Maul personally executed 2 lieutenants for incompetence, ordered every available enforcer to hunt the Shadow Warrior, placed a 5 million credit bounty on Batman's head. Perfect. Maul was reacting emotionally, exactly as predicted. The Sith Lord's pride wouldn't allow this challenge to go unanswered. He was obsessed now, hunting Batman as furiously as Batman hunted him. But obsession made you careless. Batman's next target was symbolic: Crimson Dawn's recruitment center on Obadiah, where the Pike Syndicate had historically supplied Maul with soldiers. He didn't destroy it. Instead, he left evidence of embezzlement, forged documents suggesting the facility's managers had been stealing from Maul for years. The Sith Lord arrived personally to execute them. Batman watched from 3 kilometers away, using military-grade optics to observe Maul's shuttle landing. The Zabrak emerged in full rage, lightsaber igniting as he stormed into the facility. Screams echoed across the settlement. Crimson Dawn's own people, murdered by their master for crimes they didn't commit. Bruce recorded everything. Over the next 2 weeks, Batman systematically destroyed Maul's reputation within the criminal underworld. He released recordings of the Obadiah massacre to rival syndicates, spread rumors that Maul was losing control, executing loyal followers out of paranoia, forged communications suggesting Crimson Dawn was planning to betray its allies. The criminal empire began fracturing. Black Sun withdrew their partnership. The Pikes redirected their supply lines. Even the Hutt cartel started reclaiming territory Maul had seized. The Sith Lord's power base crumbled piece by piece. And through it all, Batman remained invisible. A ghost that struck without warning, disappeared without trace, left only fear in his wake. On the 40th day of his campaign, Batman received confirmation. Maul had withdrawn to his fortress on Zanbar, consolidating his remaining forces. The Sith Lord was cornered, weakened, and furious. Exactly where Batman wanted him. But before the final confrontation, Bruce needed one more piece of the puzzle. He needed to understand what had created Darth Maul. What drove him beyond rage and hatred. He needed to visit Dathomir. Dathomir hung in space like a festering wound. Green skies, red vegetation, and an atmosphere thick with dark side energy that made Batman's skin crawl despite his force blindness. Even without mystical sensitivity, he could feel something wrong about this world. The air tasted of copper and rot. Shadows moved independently of light sources, and everywhere, the sense of ancient malevolence. Batman's shuttle descended toward the Night Brother village, guided by coordinates extracted from captured Crimson Dawn databanks. Maul had been born here, trained here, stolen from this brutal culture to become a Sith weapon. Understanding his origins meant understanding his psychology. And psychology was how you defeated monsters. The village was abandoned, structures built from bone and dark stone crumbling under Dathomir's oppressive humidity. But Batman's sensors detected recent activity, heat signatures in the central temple, electromagnetic fluctuations consistent with dark side rituals. The Night Sisters, Dathomir's witch clans, practitioners of dark magics that predated the Sith. Batman entered the temple with weapons ready, every instinct screaming danger. Bones decorated the walls, trophies, warnings, or something worse. Crude altars bore symbols he didn't recognize but understood instinctively. Sacrificial sites. Another outsider. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, female and ancient. Come to steal our secrets. A figure materialized from shadows. A Night Sister, skin pale as death, eyes glowing with sickly green light. Her presence radiated wrongness, magic that operated on rules foreign to both Earth and the mainstream galaxy. I seek information about Darth Maul. Batman kept his voice level, unthreatening. His origins. What made him? The witch laughed, sound like cracking ice. The Night Brother who became Sith? He was always meant for darkness. Born under Blood Moon, marked by violence before he could speak. She circled him, studying with unnatural interest. You have no force, yet you hunt him. Amusing. What ritual created him? Not created. Chosen. She gestured toward the altar. Mother Talzin gave her son to Darth Sidious willingly, trading flesh for power. Maul was trained from childhood knowing only pain, only hatred. His brothers were culled. His mother abandoned him. He became weapon because he was never permitted to be anything else. Batman processed this clinically. Maul was a victim before becoming a monster. Abused, discarded, molded into violence. It explained the rage, the desperate need for validation, the obsessive revenge-seeking. Classic trauma response weaponized by Sith philosophy. The Night Sisters taught him our magics before Sidious claimed him. The witch continued. Rage is fuel, pain is strength, death is power. These truths sustained him even when body failed, even when master abandoned him. Her smile was terrible. Your technology cannot defeat such conviction. No, Batman agreed, but I'm not relying on technology alone. He'd come to Dathomir for more than information. The Night Sisters possessed knowledge of dark side techniques, rituals that operated outside traditional force usage. And if Batman couldn't use the force himself, perhaps he could use what disrupted it. I need something that suppresses force abilities. Temporarily. The witch's interest sharpened. Bold request. Such things exist but cost dearly. What payment do you offer? Batman had anticipated this. He produced a data chip containing complete schematics for Republic military technology, weapons, vehicles, communications equipment, stolen from Imperial archives during his Coruscant infiltration, worth millions to anyone seeking to arm against the Empire. The witch examined it, then nodded approvingly. Acceptable. Follow. She led him deeper into the temple, past chambers decorated with disturbing frescoes, depicting rituals best left unexamined. In the lowest level, she retrieved a crystal vial containing viscous black liquid that seemed to absorb light. Essence of Isalamir, mixed with Night Sister Ichor. Pour this on ground, creates field that disrupts force connection for brief time. Living beings within field cannot touch mystical energy, not to attack, not to defend. She held it up to Batman's lenses. But warning, you also vulnerable within field. No force protection means lightsaber cuts clean. Telekinesis still works on objects already in motion. It levels ground but does not tilt it in your favor. Perfect. Batman could work with level ground. He took the vial carefully, securing it in his belt's reinforced compartment. How long does it last? 5 minutes. Maybe 10. Effects vary. The witch's expression became knowing. You plan to trap him, make him mortal, fight without his power. Something like that. Then hear final truth about Darth Maul. She leaned close, breath smelling of decay. He has died before, returned through hatred alone. You cannot kill what refuses to die. Only contain. Only break. Her ghostly fingers gestured at Batman's armor. You understand this. You are also creature born from trauma, shaped by pain into weapon. You and he are not so different. We're nothing alike. Batman's voice was ice. No? The witch smiled. Both of you hunt because you cannot stop. Both shaped by loss into something that terrifies those you pursue. Both refusing to yield despite impossible odds. She faded back into shadow. Perhaps winner is whoever accepts what they are first. Batman left the temple with the force suppression vial and a complete understanding of his enemy. Maul was a weapon with no purpose, a warrior with no master, powered by rage that consumed him from within. The Sith Lord would never stop, never surrender, never accept defeat, which meant Batman needed to do something he rarely did. He needed to break his enemy so completely that even hatred couldn't rebuild him. His shuttle lifted from Dathomir's poisoned atmosphere, leaving the cursed world behind. But the witch's words echoed in his mind. You and he are not so different. Bruce Wayne rejected that comparison utterly. He'd chosen to become Batman, weaponized his trauma to protect others. Maul had been forged into a monster against his will, then chose to embrace that monstrosity. Choice mattered. It was the only thing that mattered. And Batman's choice was clear. End Maul's threat permanently, whatever the cost. Zanbar's fortress was a monument to paranoia. Fortress walls bristling with turrets, energy shields protecting every approach, mercenary guards patrolling in disciplined formations. Maul had retreated here after Batman's campaign shattered Crimson Dawn, consolidating his remaining forces into an impenetrable stronghold. Or so he believed. Batman had spent 3 days studying the fortress from orbit, analyzing every structural detail through military-grade optics. The building was old, pre-Republic architecture built by species long extinct. Strong foundations but ancient construction meant hidden weaknesses. Ventilation systems, maintenance shafts, structural load-bearing points that could be exploited. Every fortress was a puzzle. You just needed to find the solution. The real challenge wasn't infiltration. Batman could penetrate any physical security given time. The challenge was making Maul fight on Batman's terms. The Sith Lord's force abilities gave him overwhelming advantages in open combat. Batman needed to neutralize those advantages while amplifying his own strengths. Hence the trap. Batman infiltrated Zanbar's fortress during a shift change at 0300 hours, using guard patrol patterns he'd mapped over 48 hours of observation. His Mandalorian-reinforced armor made no sound against Durasteel floors. The Beskar plating was worth every credit. When an automated security drone detected him, its blaster fire ricocheted harmlessly off his chest plate. He disabled the drone with a precision batarang, then continued deeper into the complex. The fortress's lower levels were where Maul kept his most valuable assets: weapons, holocrons, artifacts stolen from conquered territories. Batman bypassed the security systems with equipment designed specifically for this purpose. Electromagnetic pulse emitters that fried circuits without triggering alarms, molecular acid that dissolved Durasteel locks, and patience. 3 hours of meticulous infiltration brought him to the central vault. Inside, he found what he'd come for. Maul's personal meditation chamber, a room designed for the Sith Lord to commune with the dark side and plan his revenge fantasies. Perfect. Batman spent the next 4 hours converting the chamber into a kill box. He lined the walls with Beskar plating stolen from Mandalorian armories, creating a confined space where Maul's acrobatic fighting style would be restricted. Installed the Night Sister force suppression device at the chamber's center, rigged to activate on remote trigger. positioned shape charges at structural weak points, not to kill, but to seal exits. Then he began the psychological component. Using holographic projectors stolen from Republic technology, Batman created displays throughout the chamber. Images of Maul's failures, his defeat on Naboo, his abandonment by Sidious, the destruction of his Shadow Collective, Crimson Dawn's collapse. Every moment of powerlessness, every humiliation, every time Maul had been discarded like broken weapon. The final touch was a message carved into the Beskar walls with a plasma cutter. Letters 3 feet tall. Face me without your power. Batman retreated to a concealed observation post and triggered the fortress's alarm systems. Proximity alerts throughout the complex, suggesting massive security breach. Every guard mobilized. And most importantly, Maul's attention focused exactly where Batman wanted it. The Sith Lord arrived in his meditation chamber within 8 minutes. Lightsaber ignited, yellow eyes blazing with fury. He stopped at the threshold, sensing the modifications, the trap's obvious nature. "You dare?" Maul's voice shook with barely controlled rage. "You dare invade my sanctum?" Batman's voice echoed through hidden speakers, electronically modulated. "You've been hunting me for weeks. Here I am." Maul stalked into the chamber, examining the Beskar walls, the holographic displays of his failures. His cybernetic legs clicked against the floor as rage built with each image. "Clever little warrior. You think walls and metal will save you?" "No." Batman dropped from a concealed ceiling vent, landing 20 feet from Maul in full armor. The Batsuit's cape spread wide, Beskar plates gleaming, white lenses fixed on the Sith Lord. "I think your arrogance will." Maul's lightsaber spun in a defensive flourish. "You survived our last encounter through luck and cowardice. This time." Batman triggered the force suppression device. The vial shattered, releasing Night Sister essence in expanding cloud that filled the chamber. Maul felt it immediately, his connection to the Force severing like amputated limb. The rage that fueled his power suddenly directionless, unable to manifest as telekinetic force or supernatural speed. For the first time in decades, Darth Maul was just a warrior. No Force precognition, no enhanced reflexes beyond his natural ability, no telekinetic attacks, just skill against skill. "What have you done?" Maul's shock lasted exactly 1 second before transforming into incandescent fury. "It doesn't matter. I was trained by the greatest Sith Lord in history. I've killed Jedi Masters. I don't need the Force to destroy you." He charged, lightsaber a crimson blur. Batman met him head-on. The confined space negated Maul's acrobatic advantages. Every leap brought him dangerously close to superheated Beskar walls. Every spin risked exposing his back in the narrow combat zone. And Batman had planned for exactly this environment. He fought defensively, letting Maul's rage drive predictable attacks. The Zabrax Form 7 techniques were devastating but required space to execute properly. In close quarters, the elaborate spins and flourishes became liabilities. Batman blocked an overhead strike with cortosis-reinforced gauntlets, the lightsaber sputtering on contact, followed with an armor-piercing punch that cracked Maul's ribs. The Sith Lord snarled and swept low, forcing Batman to vault backward. They separated, circling. "You're skilled," Maul admitted, breathing hard. "But skill has limits. My hatred is limitless." He attacked again, faster now, lightsaber carving figure eights through the air. Batman gave ground, using the Beskar walls as shields, forcing Maul to adjust angles constantly. The Sith Lord's natural speed was still superhuman. Cybernetic legs provided enhanced movement even without force augmentation. But Batman had fought faster opponents, fought smarter opponents, fought enemies with actual superpowers. He triggered ultrasonic emitters in his gauntlets. The frequencies disrupted Zabrak equilibrium, making Maul's next spin awkward. Batman pressed the advantage, batarangs that exploded on impact, grapnel lines that tangled the lightsaber, smoke pellets that filled the chamber. Maul fought through it all with pure ferocity, but Batman saw the frustration building. The Sith Lord was accustomed to overwhelming opponents through force-enhanced ability. Without that advantage, he was facing someone equally skilled, but better prepared. "You cannot win!" Maul roared, desperation creeping into his voice. I have survived death itself. I am... Batman threw a flashbang directly at Maul's face. The Zabrak's lightsaber intercepted it. But the explosion at point-blank range blinded him momentarily. Batman closed the distance in that instant, driving his knee into Maul's damaged ribs, then following with a palm strike that shattered the Sith Lord's nose. Maul stumbled, and Batman didn't let up. Years of rage channeled into systematic brutality, targeting injuries, exploiting weaknesses, breaking the monster piece by piece. Every technique honed in Gotham's streets applied to a Sith Lord with surgical precision. The lightsaber clattered across the floor. Maul threw a wild punch that Batman deflected, then countered with a spinning back fist that dropped the Zabrak to one knee. For one moment, Batman stood over Darth Maul, the unstoppable Sith Lord reduced to battered warrior gasping for breath. "You're finished," Batman growled. Maul looked up through blood and hatred, and smiled. "Am I?" The force suppression field flickered. 5 minutes exhausted. Power flooded back into Maul's body, and his telekinetic blast launched Batman across the chamber into the Beskar wall. The impact nearly broke ribs despite armor protection. Maul stood, calling his lightsaber back to his hand through the force. Clever trap, but it failed. And now, Batman triggered the shape charges. Explosions rocked the chamber's structural supports. The ceiling began collapsing in controlled demolition, Beskar plates crashing down to seal the chamber's exits. Maul had 1 second to choose: pursue Batman or escape the collapsing fortress. Self-preservation won. Maul Force pushed through a weakened wall section and fled toward his emergency shuttle as Zanbar's fortress tore itself apart. Batman extracted through a pre-planned escape route, emerging into Zanbar's night air as the fortress crumbled behind him. His shuttle launched skyward, sensors tracking Maul's vessel fleeing the planet. He hadn't killed the Sith Lord, but he'd done something arguably worse. He'd beaten him, humiliated him, proven that Maul's power wasn't absolute, and in doing so, ensured the hunt would continue until one of them was destroyed. The message reached Batman 3 days after Zanbar's destruction, transmitted across every criminal frequency in the Outer Rim. "Face me on Mustafar. Come alone, come unarmed, or I will burn entire worlds until you do." Maul wasn't hiding anymore. The humiliation had broken something fundamental in the Sith Lord's psyche. His carefully constructed identity as an unstoppable force had shattered. Now he needed to prove himself, to restore his legend, even if it meant exposing himself completely. Bruce studied the message from his hidden base on Ord Mantell, analyzing every word for deception. It was genuine. Maul's rage had evolved past cunning into pure obsession. The Sith Lord would actually wait on Mustafar, challenging Batman to single combat. No armies, no traps beyond the planet's natural hostility. Just two warriors settling the question that had consumed them both. Who was stronger? Batman knew the smart play was refusal. Let Maul exhaust himself waiting. Continue dismantling what remained of Crimson Dawn. Force the Sith Lord into desperation that led to mistakes. But Bruce Wayne had never chosen the smart play when innocent lives were at stake. And Maul's threat was genuine. He would burn worlds. The Zabrak had nothing left except hatred and the need to prove his supremacy. Unchecked, he would kill thousands just to draw Batman out. Sometimes you had to meet evil on its own terms. Batman prepared for 3 days, treating it like any other case in Gotham. Review all available intelligence. Analyze the battlefield. Identify every advantage and exploit it ruthlessly. Mustafar was a hellscape. Volcanic activity, lava flows, toxic atmosphere, extreme temperatures. The mining facility where Maul waited was built on a floating platform surrounded by molten rock. Environmental hazards worked both ways. The Batsuit received final modifications: enhanced heat shielding, respiratory filters for toxic gases, magnetic boots for unstable surfaces. Every gadget checked and rechecked. Every weapon loaded with the understanding that this was the end game. Bruce also did something he rarely did. He recorded a message. Holocron technology adapted to accept his voice, storing a complete record of his investigation. Evidence of Maul's crimes, analysis of Sith operations, Everything he'd learned about this galaxy. If he didn't survive, someone needed to know what he'd discovered. He transmitted the holocron to Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine, then deleted all records of the transmission. Batman's shuttle descended through Mustafar's ash-choked atmosphere, landing on the mining facility's platform as lava churned hundreds of feet below. The heat was overwhelming even through environmental controls. The air tasted of sulfur and death. Maul waited in the facility's central chamber, a massive space with walkways suspended over lava channels. The Sith Lord stood at the chamber's heart, double-bladed lightsaber ignited, yellow eyes reflecting volcanic fire. "You came," Maul's voice carried across the distance. "I wondered if you would show courage or cowardice." Batman stepped onto the walkway, cape billowing in superheated wind. "I came to end this." "Yes." Maul began walking forward, closing the distance with measured steps. "One of us ends today. The Force has shown me this moment. It shows me your death, warrior. Shows me reclaiming everything you stole from me. The Force showed you wrong before." Maul's snarl was inhuman. No more tricks, no cortosis, no Beskar, no Force suppression. Just combat, just skill and will and hatred. He pointed the lightsaber at Batman's chest. "You wanted to prove technology beats power? Prove it." Batman drew two lightsabers, the Jedi weapons he'd modified for his own use. Blue plasma blazed to life in his hands, held in unconventional reverse grip that maximized defensive coverage. Maul's eyes widened fractionally. "You mock the Jedi by wielding their weapons." "I honor them," Batman corrected, "by finishing what they started." They collided in the center of the walkway, 6 blades of plasma creating a storm of light and sound. Maul fought with Form 7's controlled fury, every strike designed to overwhelm and destroy. Batman fought with no form at all, pure adaptation, using the lightsabers as tools rather than traditional weapons. He spun one blade to deflect Maul's attack while using the other to force the Sith Lord backward, triggered his grapnel launcher to swing around Maul's position, attacking from unexpected angles. The lack of force connection meant Maul couldn't predict the movements. Each attack was genuine surprise requiring physical reaction rather than mystical foresight. But Maul was still faster, still stronger, still augmented by rage and dark side energy that pushed his body beyond normal limits. A telekinetic blast sent Batman skidding backward across the walkway. Maul followed instantly, lightsaber carving downward. Batman rolled aside, the strike cutting through durasteel where he'd been standing. He threw a cryo grenade that flash froze the walkway's surface, making Maul's next charge a scrambling slide. They fought across the facility like battling gods, each using every advantage available. Maul's force abilities against Batman's tactical genius. Superhuman speed against calculated positioning. Raw power against precision technique. The walkway beneath them began to fail, weakened by lightsaber strikes and thermal stress. Batman saw the structural collapse coming 3 seconds before it occurred. Enough time to fire his grapnel at a support beam. Maul felt it through the force and leaped simultaneously. They hung suspended over churning lava, 20 feet apart, both catching their breath. "You're stronger than I anticipated," Maul admitted. Genuine respect mixing with hatred. "But strength means nothing if you cannot finish what you start. You hesitate, hold back, refuse to kill even when necessary." His smile was vicious. "That weakness will destroy you." "It's not weakness." Batman pulled himself onto a stable platform. "It's what separates us. You were made into a weapon. I chose to become one. And I choose who I am with every action. Philosophy." Maul dismissed it with a snarl. "The Jedi spouted philosophy while I cut them down. Your choices mean nothing in the face of absolute power." He unleashed Force lightning, crackling energy that arced across the gap between them. Batman's Beskar plating absorbed most of the charge, but the edges seared through his armor's weak points. Pain lanced through his nervous system as he fell to one knee. Maul advanced, sensing victory. "I am Sith. I am heir to power that shaped galaxies. What are you? A man in armor who thinks technology makes him equal to the Force?" Batman looked up through the pain, white lenses of his cowl blazing. "I'm the thing you never learned to fight. Someone who doesn't quit. He triggered every remaining weapon simultaneously. Explosive batarangs, smoke pellets, flashbangs, sonic disruptors. Everything launched at once in overwhelming barrage that turned the platform into chaos of sound and fury. Maul deflected frantically, force power straining to track multiple threats. He blocked the explosives, avoided the smoke, weathered the sonic assault. But he didn't see the grapnel line. Batman's titanium cable wrapped around Maul's ankles mid-deflection. One sharp pull, and the Sith Lord crashed to the platform's surface. Batman was on him instantly, driving his knee into Maul's chest, pinning the lightsaber arm, pressing a blade to the Zabrak's throat. Yield! Maul's laugh was broken glass. Never. Kill me or I will hunt you across eternity. There is no middle ground between us. Batman stared into those yellow eyes and saw truth. Maul would never stop, never surrender, never choose anything except violence and revenge. He was a weapon that couldn't be fixed, only destroyed. Bruce Wayne had one absolute rule: no killing. But Batman had learned something in this galaxy. Sometimes the only way to stop a monster was to break it so completely that even hatred couldn't rebuild it. He didn't kill Maul. Instead, he destroyed his lightsaber. Both blades shattered under Beskar-reinforced strikes. Shattered his cybernetic legs, precise impacts that severed key joints, leaving the Sith Lord crippled. And then delivered one final strike to Maul's spine, precisely calibrated to paralyze without killing. Darth Maul lay broken on Mustafar's platform, unable to move, unable to fight, unable to do anything except breathe and hate. You wanted to prove power beats everything, Batman said quietly. You were wrong. Preparation beats power. Strategy beats strength. And will... He leaned close, ensuring Maul heard every word. Will beats hatred. Every single time. He signaled for Imperial forces. Anonymous transmission reporting a Sith Lord's location. They would imprison Maul, study him, perhaps eventually kill him. But either way, his reign of terror was finished. Batman left Mustafar as the facility collapsed behind him, taking Darth Maul's legend with it. The Outer Rim's criminal underworld whispered of shadows and legends. They spoke of the armored hunter who'd dismantled Crimson Dawn, who'd defeated a Sith Lord without the Force, who'd vanished as mysteriously as he'd appeared. Some claimed he'd been an Inquisitor testing new methods. Others insisted he was a Mandalorian seeking glory. A few correctly guessed he was something from beyond their galaxy entirely. Bruce Wayne didn't care what they believed. He'd completed his mission. 3 months had passed since Mustafar. Batman operated from a mobile base now, a modified freighter he'd acquired through carefully orchestrated theft, moving between systems as circumstances required. The galaxy was vast, and the Empire's tyranny created endless suffering that required intervention. He'd saved a colony of refugees from slave traders on Ryloth, dismantled an Imperial weapons facility developing planet-killing toxins, helped a group of surviving Jedi younglings escape Inquisitor patrols and reach safe houses in the unknown regions. The Dark Knight had found a new mission in a galaxy far from home. But late at night, when the ship drifted through hyperspace and Bruce sat alone with his thoughts, he wondered about the dimensional rift that had brought him here. It hadn't reopened. His attempts to recreate the energy signature had failed completely. Whatever cosmic accident had torn him from Gotham seemed to be permanent. He thought about Alfred, Barbara, Dick, the city he'd sworn to protect. All of it now impossibly distant, separated by more than mere space, separated by the fundamental barriers between realities. Bruce Wayne had lost everything familiar and been stranded in an alien universe. And yet, the mission remained the same. There were people who needed protection, monsters that needed stopping, evil that needed opposing. The context had changed, the scale had changed, but the purpose remained eternal. An incoming transmission interrupted his reflection. Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice crackled through the comm system, worn but warm. I received your holocron. Quite the comprehensive record. The rebellion could use intelligence like this. I work alone. So I've noticed. Amusement colored Kenobi's tone. But even lone warriors need allies eventually. The Empire grows stronger daily. Palpatine consolidates power while systematically destroying anyone who might oppose him. One person cannot stand against that tide forever. Batman considered this silently. Kenobi was right. The Empire was too vast for any individual to topple. But Bruce had never sought to destroy entire systems. He targeted specific evils, specific injustices, changed outcomes one case at a time. "If I find information relevant to the rebellion," Batman finally responded, "I'll share it, but I'm not joining anyone's army." "Fair enough," Kenobi paused. "What you did to Maul, paralyzing him rather than killing, that took remarkable restraint. The Jedi would have simply struck him down. Why show mercy to a monster?" "Because someone has to draw the line between justice and murder. If I cross it, I become what I'm fighting against." "Even here? Even against Sith Lords and an empire built on genocide? Especially here." Batman's voice was absolute. "Rules matter most when breaking them would be easiest. That's when character is truly tested." Kenobi was quiet for a long moment. "You're an interesting contradiction. Utterly pragmatic, yet bound by unbreakable principles. This galaxy could use more warriors like you." The transmission crackled. "May the Force be with you, Dark Knight. Though I suspect you've done quite well without it." The connection ended, leaving Batman alone with his ship and his mission. Reports filtered in through criminal channels. Maul had been recovered by Imperial Inquisitors and imprisoned in a maximum security facility on Stygian Prime. Stripped of his power, his organization destroyed, his legend tarnished. Not dead, but neutered. A warning to other would-be Sith Lords about the cost of unchecked ambition. Batman had proven his point. Power wasn't absolute. Preparation, intelligence, and will could overcome even supernatural abilities. The galaxy's Force users weren't invincible. They were simply accustomed to enemies who played by their rules. Bruce Wayne had never played by anyone's rules except his own. He set course for the Corellian sector, where intelligence suggested an Imperial governor was conducting illegal experiments on civilian populations. Another target, another mission, another opportunity to prove that one person with conviction could make a difference. The freighter jumped to hyperspace, leaving Mustafar's system behind. In the ship's cargo hold, the modified batsuit hung on its maintenance rack, Beskar plates gleaming. Cortosis weave integrated seamlessly, gadgets and weapons carefully organized. A suit of armor that had been designed for Gotham streets, but adapted for galactic warfare. Bruce sat in the cockpit, studying star charts and tactical reports. The Empire controlled thousands of worlds. Billions suffered under its tyranny. The scope was overwhelming, impossible. But Batman had built a career on achieving the impossible. Somewhere in Gotham, in another reality, another universe, his city needed its Dark Knight. But until he found a way home, this galaxy had inherited that protection. Every innocent saved was a victory. Every tyrant stopped was progress. Every monster defeated was proof that evil didn't win simply because it was powerful. As the ship hurtled through hyperspace toward the next mission, Bruce Wayne allowed himself the smallest smile. He'd been torn from his world and thrown into chaos, lost everything familiar and faced enemies beyond anything he'd prepared for. And he'd won anyway, because that's what Batman did. The mission continued. The hunt never ended. And somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, the Dark Knight watched over those who couldn't protect themselves. Not because the Force commanded it, not because destiny required it, but because he chose it. And choice, real, conscious choice, was the most powerful force in any universe. The legend of the Shadow Knight spread through the Outer Rim like wildfire, whispered in cantinas and criminal hideouts across 100 systems. They said he had no connection to the Force, yet fought like a Jedi. They said he wore armor that could turn aside lightsaber strikes. They said he'd brought down a Sith Lord through preparation alone, proving that power wasn't everything. Batman never confirmed or denied the stories. He simply continued his mission, moving through the galaxy like a phantom, appearing where injustice demanded intervention, vanishing before authorities could respond. The Empire added him to their most wanted list. Crime syndicates placed bounties on his head, and yet the Dark Knight remained untouchable. A ghost in Beskar and Kevlar, who answered to no master except his own unbreakable code. Darth Maul spent his remaining years imprisoned on Stygian Prime, a broken reminder of hubris and hatred. Sometimes, in his cell, he would remember the warrior who defeated him without the Force. Remember the lesson taught in pain and humiliation, that absolute power was an illusion, and that someone who refused to quit was more dangerous than any mystical energy. The memory was agony worse than any lightsaber wound. Bruce Wayne never found a way home. The dimensional rift remained permanently closed, separating him forever from the Gotham he'd sworn to protect. But he discovered something unexpected in this galaxy far, far away. That the mission transcended location. Evil existed everywhere. Fear could be weaponized anywhere. And one person with conviction could change the course of history, no matter how impossible the odds. The Dark Knight had come to the Star Wars galaxy by accident. He'd stayed by choice. And though he walked alone through endless stars, he carried with him an unshakable truth. The Force might bind all things together, but will, pure, indomitable will, could stand against anything, even the darkness between worlds. Order 66 had extinguished the Jedi's light, but in the shadows they'd left behind, something new had emerged. Not a Force user, not a chosen one. Simply a warrior who refused to yield, armed with gadgets and determination, proving that heroism required no supernatural power. Just the courage to face impossible evil and never, ever back down. May the Force be with you. More stories await.